In a chess game, when two players play all the best move possible, it will end in a draw. Today we're going to explore one of the common draw in chess, insufficient material. Insufficient material is a state where neither player has enough pieces to force a checkmate. Let's take a look at the current position. After both knight from both sides was captured, will the game end as a draw because of insufficient material? Take a few seconds and think about it. The correct answer is no because of the presence of pawn. Due to the pawn ability to promote, it can be any pieces. Although the pawn cannot checkmate the king directly, it can promote to other pieces that have the ability to checkmate the king alone. Therefore, this game wouldn't be considered as in a state of insufficient material, but this position is a draw anyway because of repetition or stalemate. I'll show you. Take a look at this position. Does this count as insufficient material? The answer is no, because while a bishop alone indeed doesn't have the ability to checkmate the king, but in this position, it was able to. Therefore, this game will simply end in checkmate instead of insufficient material. Let's take a look at this puzzle. If you were white, what's the best move that can be played here? Before explaining what's the best move, we should be aware of the goal for white in this position. As we can see, black have a pawn and a bishop, and white only have a rook, which wasn't enough to win the game due to the presence of opponent pieces. Therefore, the goal for white is to get a draw out of this game. The best move in this position was rook to a6, because the target for white was a pawn instead of the bishop. As aforementioned, the pawn can be any pieces due to its ability to promote. So after the only pawn was taken, the game will end in the state of insufficient material. Let's take a look on this position. What's the best move for white here?
In this position, we can see that the black bishop is targeting the rook, aiming for a capture. Because of this, some player might be thinking of evading the rook to b2, but that wasn't the way to secure a draw. As we can see, black also have a pawn and a knight, which were the crucial pieces that were used to win the game. So the correct move was to sacrifice the rook to a7, capturing the knight. After the black king recaptured, white king will move to h3, aiming for the pawn that can't be defended because the knight square bishop can't move to dark square. Let's take a look at this position. What's the best move for white? As we can see, black have a rook, two knights and a pawn. Among the opponent pieces, the rook was the most powerful one because it can defend the pawn in one move, so it will be important to capture the opponent rook in any sort of way. We can also see that the rook and other two knights was positioned in the same dark square diagonal, and we have a dark square bishop as well. In this case, the best move would be sacrificing the rook to e7, capturing the knight. After the king recaptured, the bishop will move to g5, forking the king and knight, at the same time skewering the rook from the king. After the king moved to g7, we have two choices. One is to capture the free knight. Another is to exchange with the rook. Which one will you pick? The correct move would be exchanging with the rook. Some might point out that exchanging with the rook only wins us 2 material points, while capturing a free knight will earn us 3 material points. Why not? Well, based on the position, the knight was placed on the edge of the board, and the black pawn was placed on the other side, which means that the only piece that could potentially support the pawn would be the rook. After the exchange, our king will run to b3, threatening to take the pawn, and there's nothing black can do to defend it because the knight was simply too far and the king was simply too slow to defend the pawn. After all that, the game will be end in a draw because of insufficient material.